Cooney, loser, bold guy. Cooney, 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 Cooney. Cooney, 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 Cooney. Cooney, 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 Cooney. Cooney, Cooney, upstays alive.
Welcome back to Raccoon Tweeties. Thanks for tuning in. On today's episode, we have rising star Cooper Lyden, host of Cooper Lyden is Alone, and Dag Nabbit with
Shane Bianchi.
Shane Bianchi. I forgot his name, but I know him very well. He's a funny guy. We want to have you on. Thank you for coming on. How are you doing?
Good, doing good. Glad to be here.
Yes.
Just wanted to get us started early.
Yeah.
When you give the soundboard, it's tough to do. The intros are always tough, especially when you're unknown. So I like the soundboard.
Yeah.
Well, you're known to us, and you push the hawk button right away, which is what we like guests to do. It's kind of like a test. When you came in here, I saw you were talking about like the way we have a setup. Gerardo was joking before you got in here about how you're going to come here and be like, try and study how we do it so you can incorporate it.
Yeah.
But then we realized, Gerardo pointed out that all of this is just wires, really.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, everything Gerardo's explained to me to how he edits, I'm like, that's crazy how we can technically do the same thing, but not at all.
Yeah,
like,
right?
technically, every week I edit to podcast, but then Gerardo explains what he does, and he's saying new tools I've never heard of.
Right. I was about to ask you about that. When he was like, I do this thing with the equalizer. Do you know what an equalizer is?
Vaguely.
Okay.
But also, like, equalizer, normalizer, levelator.
You know what?
wouldn't believe
I
any of
didn't, I
those
didn't want to
things.
get into it, but we can get into it, dude. An equalizer. There's nasty parts of your voice that you don't want people hearing, and you know what, dude? I'll just amplify that on you guys if you keep talking shit about my editing skills, dude.
Is
We're
it the-
complimenting.
Yeah, we're complimenting. I'm saying
okay, my
you,
bad.
you know things I don't.
You see what I deal with? He's angry.
Yeah.
He's an angry man.
Well, you got to have a disgruntled producer.
That's true.
If your producer's
And
too
co-host.
excited, then the podcast is soft. You know?
that might be the secret sauce. But
Yeah.
he's not the only one that knows about being angry. Okay, I've been wanting to talk about this with you for a long time.
I'm spicy. I'm not angry.
That's true.
Jesus
You're
Christ.
spicy, dude. Bro, listen, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta get yourself a co-host who's spicy.
You're just a guy that wants to be listened to. That's
Exactly,
all it
dude.
is.
Jesus Christ.
Mr. Whole Foods. But okay, I've wanted to talk to you about this for a long time. I'm jumping the shark, going to it right away, but I desperately want to know. Can you tell me the story about how you punched an old man at Lyric Hyperion?
And can you do me a favor and play the song while you do it?
Oh, yeah, that's a great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See?
Talking shit about me producing. That's the
I forgot. This is the song.
Yeah.
It wasn't at Lyric Hyperion. I have no
Oh,
reason
fuck.
to give the actual name, though.
Okay,
But
fair enough.
yeah, I was 18 years old. I was having a very bad week, which was a lot more common when I was 18. And I was telling a joke about, it was like kind of a woke-ish joke about how at that point white women ruin popular movements because they're racist. So I talked about how Susan B. Anthony said she would rather cut off her right arm than give black women the right to vote.
Damn.
Which is true.
Okay.
I no longer tell this joke, but that is still a true fact about Susan B.
Right.
Anthony. So I was telling that joke, and eventually it got to be kind of funny, but then it was just sort of a collection of facts said by an annoying 18-year-old. So then there's a 69-year-old man in the audience, and then there was two old men. One old man, I never understood anything he was saying.
Okay.
I'm trying to tell this right. I never understood anything he was saying. During my set, he was like, rah! And then I was like, I don't know what you're saying. And then a guy behind him just went, not funny. And then I was like, what? And he was like, not funny. And I was like, what, you're heckling an 18-year-old at an open mic? You're a fucking loser. And then he said, not funny. And then I was like, you're a fucking old-ass man sitting at an open mic calling me a loser. And then he said, not funny.
Fuck.
And then I tried to come up with so many jabs to kind of, be like, you're actually the loser.
Yeah.
Because in some ways people would argue he is, but in that moment, he's not.
Yeah, definitely. Loser.
So he just kept saying not funny, and then I said, and then I was lit early, if you can believe it. I was lit about a minute early by
Yeah, who lit you?
fucking.
Gadoosh them. I know Willie Dynamite was there.
He's
the one who
actually
told me.
a guy whose name I should fully know.
Oh, right.
So I almost feel bad trying to find it. I should fully know this guy's. I think it's Jason. But
It happens. I know Shane well, and I forgot.
Can
his
you
name.
stop the song? The song is not helping now.
Yeah. It was so funny though at points because you'd say something and they'd be like, bah, bah, bah.
I was trying to follow it a little bit.
And oh really? You're doing a good job.
As much as I
you
could.
hit the beats.
It is a good song for stories.
And
Jason Hedgoff?
no. And then I don't think it's Jason, but he lit me early.
Yeah.
And then I very calmly was like, all right, thank you. And then at that point in my head, I had a feeling I'd never had where I was like, oh, I'm gonna punch this guy. But I don't know if you guys have ever assaulted somebody.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
Like kind of unjustly, at least. And like you just kind of know it's happened before it's happened, you know,
Yeah.
which I think is
Oh.
a bit of a dude thing to be like, there's no way I can stop this. And
Yeah.
you can. It's
Yeah.
like self-control. But I have very little of it now, and I had like none of it then. So I walked up to him. I walked up right to his chair in the dark. Nobody was expecting this to happen. They actually had kind of just viewed it as like a whatever. I walked up to him, and then he looked at me and said, "You fucking suck, dude." And then like halfway through dude, I punched him like right about here. I want to say the fist landed in this area, and then he went, ah! And then I walked out, and I got in my car, and I felt cool for like 10 seconds, and then it was like immediate panic. And then I called my now ex-girlfriend from high school, and I just told her what happened. And
Right.
you know, she was.
What'd she say?
The problem is everybody thinks it's kind of cool.
Oh, she thought it was cool.
I mean, she was like, "Oh, that's bad," but also fuck him. Like that was
Right.
the response, which is not a healthy response.
Not really, no.
And then I called my aunt and immediately had a lawyer because I'm a white person.
Oh, okay.
And then
Play
apparently
the hawk thing real quick. And then keep going.
I hawked him. Yeah, I definitely hawked him on that. Apparently the cops were called and an ambulance. Instead of waiting for the ambulance, he drove himself to the hospital. So the cops had to follow him to the hospital, which I think angered them because they're LAPD and they're busy.
Right.
And this is just an old man getting punched. They're dealing with like
Yeah.
homeless people exploding. You know what I mean? So like this is nothing to them. And I was very lucky for that reason because it's in LA County. They're so busy that I think whether or not there was a police report filed, it never got through the assessor's office to then become a case.
Yeah.
Because in LA, things are kind of at the point where if you punch an old man, like there's probably a 60-40 chance nothing happens, which is bad news.
Right.
And since then, I haven't taken advantage of that. But
Do it more often.
yeah, I haven't done it since. Because you know, it's like a whippet where like for like a minute you're like, whoa, that was cool, but then you're like, this is really bad. This is like a bad way to live life.
What did the lawyer say to you? Did you have a phone call? This lawyer that you got.
Yeah, my aunt, because the owner of the venue called me and was like, that guy wants to talk to you.
Whoa.
And mano. And my aunt was like, legally, no.
Oh.
Like, do not talk to that guy.
Oh,
Don't-
so your aunt was the lawyer?
Well, she's not that kind of lawyer. So she contacted another guy
Right.
who I never really had to use.
Okay.
But before she did, she just basic kind of ground rules. And yeah, like he was like, oh yeah, that guy wants to talk to you. And I asked her, I was like, should I talk to him? And she was like, absolutely not. That's just an admission of guilt. Like there's no world where you guys talk this out. Like if he wanted to sue you, that conversation is only just going to help him sue you. So there's absolutely no point to talk to him. So I took a legal route immediately. I went from street justice to the court of law almost immediately. As quick as I could, I was out of street justice. I was not going to have any more conversations. I was like, no, I punched you and now I'm contacting lawyers.
I mean, we could have had like the heckling act of 2020 if you would have taken this to court. You
Take it
know what
all
I
the
mean?
way to Supreme Court, and
Yeah.
they rule on your side.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Honestly, I could have set a precedent
Yeah.
for heckling that it could justify physical violence, and then maybe we wouldn't be in this situation right now.
And we'd have good audiences, dude.
We'd have good
Yeah,
audience.
people would
means?
behave themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember these old people yapping?
Yeah. I should also, I should say to the viewers, this isn't a cool story. And I do feel bad about it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I wish the best for him and his family. He could very well be dead by now.
Right. I mean, we're an anti-violent show, so we're not saying that you should do this, but it may be like if more people had done something like this, we'd have gotten rid of this whole Biden Trump thing. They're all too old to run. They'd know how to, there could be something like, they're acting crazy. When they say something crazy, someone like you, a young guy, punches him in the head.
That would be a cool system if every time an old person started fucking up,
Right.
you just clocked them.
Just like when you were a kid. No, this is probably bad. But
Yeah.
have you ever heard of anybody else punching somebody at an open mic? Or has anyone reached out to you about it?
Yeah, I mean,
I've done it.
Oh, yeah?
you've done it.
Oh yeah, but
An audience
another
member?
comic.
Oh, yeah. Well,
not
that's
an audience.
that's
Yeah.
pretty normal.
Well, I mean, this guy, he is a comic.
Oh, he is?
He was one
Oh.
of the first comedians on Comedy Central in like 1989.
No,
Oh,
that's
my
crazy.
God.
One of his jokes was, "What do you call a black and Mexican restaurant? Nacho Mamas."
Mm.
So my jokes about Susan B. Anthony did not resonate.
Yeah.
And I think he believed like this is gay comedy. You know, I think he was offended in that way.
Yeah.
And then
Interesting.
I actually really to defend activism and the queer community is why I did it.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. See, another thing. It's right.
I was defending black women and their right to vote.
Yeah.
Because Susan B. Anthony was upset about it and he agreed.
I
Yeah.
thought Susan B. Anthony made the flag. Am I wrong?
That's
No. No. Susan B. Anthony was like a women's suffragette.
yeah, no,
I'll look for a second opinion.
it's not Mary Todd, that's Lincoln's wife, but
Oh, yeah, like Mary Washington or no.
Susan
someone
B.
else.
Mary.
is it Mary something? I don't know. It really does not matter.
No.
But
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that fucking guy, and that's all that really matters.
yeah. And then he came to I had a show at the Improv. It wasn't booked by the Improv, it was an independent show. But it was still my first show at the Improv, so I was excited.
Yeah.
And then I got a call from Brian Vokey, and he was laughing, and he said, "Did you punch an old man?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Okay, well, he's at the Improv right now."
Protesting you?
Yes, with a black eye,
Damn.
screaming,
A
freaking
black
out.
guy.
Brandon Brick said his eye looked dead.
Oh, yeah, well, we can't really believe this.
We
is a
cannot.
questionable source right there.
But he's a security guard. He's seen a lot of people get assaulted. So
His
yeah,
eye looks
by
dead.
him, probably. Yeah. But,
if anything, he is good at it. Could be ascertaining what a black eye looks like. But he's not a reliable narrator.
true.
But he showed up and was freaking out, and then the Improv was like, "All right, we'll take him off the show, so you stop freaking out." And then, and I went back to the mic, and they were like, "Oh, I don't know if they want you here." And I didn't go back for like a year. And then eventually, I talked to Rita, and she was like, "Oh, that was a big understanding. It's totally fine."
Damn. He basically Alice Hamilton you. He came over at a protest.
Yeah, pretty much. He protested me. I was protested at the Improv
That's pretty early on. Because
early on.
man, I remember when you first started, people were like, "You got to hear about this Cooper guy." Really? Yeah, they were like complimentary, and I was like, "Oh." And then I agree, you're a very funny guy. And then
nice.
and then the next thing I heard was Willie Dynamite being like, "Yeah, this young guy punched someone at the open mic. He punched a guy," and I said, "Who?" He's like, that guy, and he started describing,
Yeah.
like young looking guy, like, and then eventually I said Cooper Lyden. I was like, no, he didn't. And the way it got filtered to me is so funny because it's in reality, it's an old white man
Yeah.
that was a comic. What
Right.
I've been thinking for however long this has gone on was that it was an old black man who worked at the Improv. That's what I thought. I thought Cooper punched an old black guy that was like a big wig at the Improv, and that's why he got taken off the show.
I mean,
No, I didn't.
I mistaked it.
No, I didn't. I didn't punch a staff member at the. That would be really unlikable. If I like punched like an old man who's working at a comedy club. But I guess if he was a manager, then I guess I'd be breaking down doors and sick of the gatekeeping.
And I want to apologize because to me it's just a funny story because I'm not involved at all. But
Yeah.
have you moved on? Are you okay? Because I could see this causing PTSD, this kind of shit.
No, I've understood from day one that it is funny. I've
Yeah.
also understood from day one that it's like, okay, well, that's a good example of the anger issues out of hand. So it's just a fun balancing act. Like that day, in a lot of ways, was one of the best days of my life because it got me to go back into therapy.
Okay,
And
good.
then realize that like, oh yeah, you can't just have anger issues. You'll end up punching old men. It's like not cool to just walk around and be angry. So no, I think it was. I mean, I don't regret anything I've ever done in life. I think if I didn't punch that old man, I'd be a worse guy.
That's
I
funny.
like to think. I think there's a lot of people who are afraid to be the worst guy sometimes.
Okay.
And then they never get to get better.
Right.
And some people are smart enough to not make those decisions to begin with.
Uh-huh.
I am not. And so sometimes you have to punch an old man to say, hey, we can just talk stuff out next time.
When you punch the old guy, like because you said anger issues, do you feel like you were punching someone else or something else?
Oh, like was he a manifestation?
Yeah.
Well, I've In the moment, no. In recent times, I've realized, kind of embarrassingly so, that the reason I like comedy is partly like family issues, and then me being the youngest and not really being a part of it, just a side effect of a falling family. You don't really have a voice in the family. And I found comedy and I liked it because my family was not involved and I would be listened to and my perspective could matter and I could matter in that sense. So I've realized that when people heckle or disrupt or talk or even don't listen, it offends me deeply. And it's taken me until now to realize like, oh, you're putting like all of that family stuff on that one person. And that's why you're so angry. And that's why you and everybody else is so surprised how angry you get.
Yeah.
As opposed to maybe another comic who's like, hey man, can you not talk?
Right.
Because in my mind, I'm like, you started doing heroin and everything fell apart. You know, like that's what's in my head. So I think in that moment,
The old guy.
yeah, I think in that moment, maybe. But in that moment, it was definitely, he was my enemy. I think the anger issues got to a point where it's like, no, this guy is everything wrong. You know, but also it's like, I'm obviously a guy a lot of people make jokes about like, oh, you're going to come and shoot up the place?
Oh, really?
Well, you got the look.
Yeah, I have the look.
Yeah.
And the attitude. And
Maybe more so now because you got the haircut.
Yeah, the shape.
Before I thought I was surprised. I did not think that you were. And I didn't really know you that well. But
Right.
I was like, who punched the old man? The last person I thought was Cooper Lyden. I didn't think it was.
I'm glad to hear that. I
Honestly, would have thought Willie Dynamite more likely than you.
Well, that's because you're racist, dude.
no, just because like he's a big guy.
Yeah, and he's a bombastic talent. You know what I mean?
Nah,
So-
I mean, I'm surprised that anyone did it. So like you got heckled by two old men. Were they both comedians?
I don't know who the first guy was, and he really remains an enigma. I think they came together,
Right.
but they weren't necessarily sitting together. They
Right.
were like sitting near each other, but not that close. But they seemed to have the same agenda. And it just seemed like two old men that like went to an open mic and were like, comedy sucks now. And I think in his mind, it's like from the era he came up in was probably very normal to be like not funny.
That's crazy. Can you imagine that era sounds like it sucks. You go to an open mic and it's just everyone being like, not funny.
I don't like comics heckling comics, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I have a joke about sobriety. I've been sober for almost 6 years.
Woo.
Right? But there we go. I like a nice little there we go. I was waiting for the hawk noise.
Yeah.
Took a second, but it's but this one comic, I was in the middle of, I would say, a mid set. Not a bomb, but like weak laughs.
Yeah.
And a comic from the back of the room said, I've been sober 30 years. Can I be your sponsor? Immediately hate that guy, dude.
Yeah.
And then I made it funny on stage. When life gives you lemons, talk to the old guy, whatever the joke was, and then I turned it around, but I was like, why the fuck would a comic say that in the middle of a set?
Right.
That is
Right.
annoying. Yeah.
That was the reason why, because I talk about the balancing act of like, I understood why it's funny. It's an 18-year-old punching a 69-year-old. We're both losers in different ways at an open mic fighting each other. Like two
Right.
guys with not a lot going on getting in physical violence is hilarious because it's like neither of you have to do this. You
Yeah.
can just go back to your apartments, but
Move to Austin.
moved to Austin.
Yeah.
But it was tough because I felt very bad about it. And then every comic I ever talked to was like, that's the coolest thing ever. And I was very grateful that I was like, okay, so like, hopefully nobody thinks I'm crazy. Because I've just like, they think I'm crazy, but in the way where people are like, you did the thing we all want to do.
Right.
And so it turned out to ingratiate me more, which I thought was good. But I also had to not, if I was a dumber person, I could have made that an identity. You know what I
Right,
mean? And
right,
kind of
right,
been
right.
like, yeah,
No, you wouldn't want that.
don't fuck with me. Because also, I'm 5'9", 140. So
That would be such a funny thing for you to have. You're the guy that beats people up.
yeah. You're like, how long can you do this for? Like,
Rogan has you on, and he's like, so I was a little bit worried about having you on, to be honest. You fight people.
and I'm like, well, it's only when they talk shit. We just have
Right.
one moment where he's like, that's actually not true. I jump across the table.
I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty funny. It's like, it's rare that you see comedian attacks heckler. The videos are always heckler attacks comedian.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I've seen anywhere it's just the comedian walks off stage and punches a heckler. Normally it's like the heckler rushes the stage and is like, but this time the comedian kicked him in the nuts.
Yeah, no,
But
this
you
was...
took it in your own hands.
This was like full just comedian calmly walks off stage, assaults a man, and then leaves right after. Like I punched him, he went, meh, and then And I had a joke about it, and that was like really like the most funny part because a lot of
The
it,
sound.
yeah, a lot of it for the audience is like there would be moments where they'd like be into it, but it was very hard to tell them like I'm not promoting violence. Like
Sure.
this is a funny story, but it's a little hard for them to get past. But when
Yeah.
I say that he went meh,
Yeah.
then everybody's like, well, that's actually
I don't think you're crazy at all. I know you now. I think it's like one thing that happened. You know, it's like sometimes you have
Yeah.
you do like a crazy thing once.
Yes.
And you've never done it again.
Yeah.
So, but I do have another question about it. When you did it, do you remember the audience reaction at all?
Yeah, I was about to say I punched him, and the venue this was in was like a large venue where the open mic space was sectioned off by a curtain.
Yeah.
So we were in the curtain. I punched him. I walked out of the curtain, and as I was walking out of the curtain, it's like 10 feet from the curtain to the door, and like I'd say like 5 feet into that walk, I heard everybody go like, "Yo, what?" And like just hearing different people react to what happened,
Yeah.
you know, and then deciding I should probably just get in my car and just leave,
Yeah.
you know, and then some people are like, like, because the guy was like, "You gonna come back?" And I was like, "No, I committed a crime." Like,
Who said you're going to come back?
the owner of the venue.
Oh.
Who also wanted me to call the guy and really wanted me to be way more involved in the crime. And I was like, I don't know much about crime, but as
Fuck
far
that
as I
guy.
know, you do it and you leave.
How did the guy have your phone number?
He, the owner of the venue, he messaged me on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it
Was
was
it
a
that
DM.
bald dude that sucked that would always like cancel the mic randomly? It was like a fucking trust fund guy. I hated that guy. Was that him?
It was, it was just echoes on Pico. So it was,
Oh, see, I keep thinking that it's Lyric.
yeah.
It
so-
wasn't Lyric. Okay, that changed. Echoes
Yeah.
on Pico.
Yeah.
Oh, it was that crazy dude, the Echoes guy.
Yeah, it was the venue that was eventually. Do you know how that venue got shut down eventually?
No.
It's just because he never had like a permit for
alcohol.
having a bunch of people. Well,
Or,
the
yeah.
alcohol, but also like in terms of like fire marshal shit, you just need like a permit to have that many people in your place or whatever. So he was having a big party with a bunch of people there,
Yeah.
and then a literal fire marshal like came by and was like, "There's too many people in this building. Like, this isn't like a place you can have like a club." And then he goes, "Fuck you. What are you gonna do? Like, call the fire marshal?" And then he was the fire marshal.
hilarious.
And then I think just really because of his attitude, the guy was
Yeah.
like, "Well, sure." And then he just got his entire business shut down because his business. I mean, it's crazy how people will run a business that's like not fully a business and just be
Yeah.
like, "I'll just do this until it stops." And it's like a good business can fail.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a good, smart business with all the permits you need can fail.
Right.
But then again, it's like, I guess you're like, yeah, so at that point, I might as well just cheat and make as much money. I don't know.
yeah,
but,
he's trying to make money through the gray area, but he's an idiot.
well, you end up having people get assaulted at your venue.
That too, you attract the worst kinds of elements, you know?
Yeah.
Comedians.
You attract the seedy underground, you know?
Man. That's funny. And you're sure that Jennifer Gable didn't call the fire marshal on Echoes this time?
No, as far as I know. Was that
You know-
what happened last time?
Well, she called allegedly.
I don't know that person.
You
Is
don't,
that a comedian?
Oh, yeah, it's a comedian.
Okay.
So what happened is she did the roast battle, but she showed up all late.
Okay.
So they canceled her battle with whoever, and she got so mad at them that she called the fire marshal on the Comedy Store belly room. So the fire marshal came, and that's why they had to change some of the rules for a little bit. I don't know if it's still going on. I have no idea.
Wow, she called the fire marshal on the Comedy Store.
And I'm like, how do you even know how to do that? Like,
Yeah,
I
truly.
couldn't even have thought of that as like a scheme. This is not the only time she's called the fire marshal on somebody, I imagine.
So this is, yeah, that's her thing. She's
It's her
like good at
bit.
calling the
Yeah,
fire
yeah.
marshal.
She's the comedian that does that. You're the comedian that hits people.
Yeah.
I have small teeth. Jordo's angry. We all have a bit,
Yeah, we all have a bit.
you know?
Yeah, calling the fire marshal is crazy because I feel like there's a customer service aspect to it where you're like talking to a robot and you're like representative and it's like taking time and like to do all that to still just be petty when you don't need to do it does seem crazy because there's no way it's like one call and he's like, "Hello, fire marshal."
Yeah, they're probably like, hey, Jennifer.
Yeah.
They know her fucking
Yeah,
name.
they got the Jennifer line.
I don't admit, like, it's going to hurt your career. Well, doesn't happen. She's a crazy person. But it's like if you do that to a venue like where you work,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to perform at the
I
comedy
think the
store.
Miguel thing's happening again. Did you guys have the same energy? Both of you guys.
Oh, yeah, we're both low energy.
I'm like
guys.
listening to you guys talk, and I'm like, this fucking sucks, dude.
The
Yeah.
producer doesn't like the show.
That's fine.
It can happen.
Listen, I do a podcast by myself for an hour every week, and a lot of times it's never funny.
Yeah.
What do you talk about?
I talk about like just literally like what I've been into. And like lately I've been into like listening to this University of Chicago professor talk about realism as a geopolitical strategy. So
Okay.
I'll rip that for like an hour and then just end the podcast and be like, that's a podcast.
Do you ever get people that write like, "Hey, you're great, but could you talk about like Brendan Schaub or something like that?"
I've had a guy come up to me at the Comedy Store in person, which is crazy for a podcast that like 17 people watch.
Yeah.
For like a man to come up to you and be like, "I've seen it," and he came up and he's like, he was Australian, he wasn't even from this country, and he was like, "Yeah, it's funny." He's like, "You should have guests." And I was like, yeah, that's like the worst thing you could say to a guy who's doing a podcast by himself is to be like, get somebody in there. Because it's like, yes, that would be better. But
it doesn't make sense.
to
Don't
me,
make no sense.
the idea is almost just, I don't know. I like just
Your
talking.
name of your show is Cooper Biden, or Cooper Biden. That's why I messaged you once saying that your name sounds too much like Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
Because it kind of does.
And I told you my brother's name is Hunter Lyden.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about that, dude.
So he's right on the
Holy
money.
shit.
He's right on the money.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Does he get shit for that?
I would not be surprised. I mean, he's a fisherman, and a lot of those guys are like, just
Drugs.
like, rednecks pretty much,
Yeah,
just
drugs.
on the water.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised. But then again, I don't know. I don't know how much news they even get out there. If you're on the, you know,
I mean, a fisherman, so he like catches crabs?
he was doing that for a little. For a little bit, he worked on a boat that was similar to Deadliest Catch, except
Whoa.
the only difference was since the crabs were smaller, the pots were smaller, so you couldn't even use a crane. It's like as hard as Deadliest Catch, except you have to lift the pots yourself, and they're 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. I was listening to him. He was like, yeah, I'd worked like a 12-hour shift, and then I could like barely carry one of the pots. I felt so embarrassed. And I'm like, that's like the toughest man embarrassment I've ever heard of. To be like, yeah, I'd worked 12 hours and couldn't lift 100 on a ship that's like about to capsize.
Not
Yeah.
as dangerous as being a comedian, but definitely a dangerous job.
I tell him all the time, like he'll fish like 400 miles off the coast of Alaska, and I'm like, that's tough, but like you've never seen a 1 a.m. crowd in the original room.
Yeah.
That's when you really don't know if you're gonna make it out.
You're like,
you
that's
know?
that's nothing. Okay.
Yeah, it's truly. I took him to the because when my name got painted on the wall, there's like a little party for it, and so he came, and it was very fun to introduce him to comedians.
Oh, yeah?
And be like,
Who
he's a fisherman.
Who did he like?
Who does he like?
Yeah, I'm like the people you introduced him to. And who did he not like?
Well, no, he was very. I mean, for him, it was him seeing sort of my world. I think so.
Okay.
His perception was just like, oh, it seems like you have a lot of friends.
Right.
That's not. And also, he's not the kind of guy that would be like, I don't like that guy.
Right. But you could sense he had problems with Luke Schwartz and Frank Castillo.
I think if he tried to talk to Luke Schwartz or Frank, I don't think there would be anything there for those guys. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe.
Just kidding.
Maybe if Frank worked the I love both those guys.
Yeah, friends of the
but
show.
My brother would just be very. I think honestly, my brother would just be like very confused by like any. I mean, he's a funny guy.
Right.
He likes to fuck around and stuff. He likes stand up. I like hearing about your family members ever go to comedy shows and like give you their review of the show.
I have like a really small family. It's really
Yeah.
just my parents and then like 2 cousins and I'm trying to think of you know what? Actually that's a good question. And they do my parents went to see Ali Wong
Okay.
in New York.
Yeah.
They don't know anything about her, so it's a little bit much for them because she's like I fucked this guy, and they're like they didn't say that, but they're like she was a little sexual, and I'm like, but I
Right.
like Shang Wang. They like Shang Wang, her opener. You know that guy, right?
Yeah.
Shang Wang. I wish.
So your
Kevin
parents
Camille-
are strictly Asian comics.
Yeah, I'm well.
The Coonies only see Asian
Yeah,
comics.
that's true. They're very pro-Asian, but Ali Wong only has she has Shang Wang and Kevin Camille.
Yeah.
So I think she usually has like Asian openers. So if
Right.
you go to her show, you're probably going to see Asian comedians, which my parents don't like.
And if they never see a comedy show again, they've only seen Asian comics.
That's true. I can't think of any other people they've seen recently, and I think they just wanted to see a show because they were in New York.
Yeah.
So they ended up at that.
That's a good New York show.
Yeah.
My brother said he went to see Burt Kreischer, and it was like
Okay.
the second day of Sober October,
Whoa.
which I think is like a rough time to see him.
Right.
Because he's like, yeah, Burt. It was like the first day. He was like, so yeah, Burt's like sober, but he's like really hungover. And
Right.
he says he has like a shot in his back pocket and as a parachute in case he wants to. And his whole description of the show was like as if he just hung out with a friend that's like not doing well. And I was
Right.
like, was it funny? And he was like, hey, he's funny, but like he didn't seem like he wanted to be there.
It was sad because he couldn't drink. He didn't even take his shirt off. Probably kept his shirt
Yeah.
on the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, there's one comic who we both know, so I don't really want to mention their name, but
Okay.
they're doing very well. They're on a major network, on a major TV show, and they're on red carpets a lot. But
Yeah.
my mom went to a comedy show, and they were like, it was fun. And then this one comic went up, and it was so awful, and they bombed. And my mom says she doesn't like stand-up comedy because it makes her nervous that people can bomb.
Oh yeah.
So like, luckily the time she's come to see me, it's been fine, and she's like, "Oh, that was nice." But like,
Yeah.
she really gets nervous that like anytime a comedian steps on stage, she's like, "God, what if they bomb?" Like she just thinks like a comedian,
that.
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want my friends to bomb, but it's weird because at the same time, if like a parent or a family member was like, I went to this show
Yeah.
and I saw Cooper Lyden and he bombed, I'd be like, yeah, tell me everything.
Yeah,
about
no,
it.
it's the.
Did he
it's-
hit anybody? No,
Yeah, it's the funniest story
it
ever.
really is.
Yeah, and it's also very funny because this person is like doing so well, and then you just have your mom come and be like, nobody liked it.
They got humbled. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did
and
she
you're
give you any details? You don't have to say the name, but
About who the person is?
no, like about like how do they? I mean, I'm assuming
well-
this is Hannah Einbinder that you're talking about, and you don't have to confirm or deny. But like, and I like her, and I think she's great. And your mom, she better watch out.
Yeah,
Okay. But
yeah.
anyways, did she give anything about like how that she bombed?
Yeah, that it was just very low energy, and the crowd did not
Damn it.
pick up on it. And
That's both of us.
Yeah, it
The
was
fuck?
it was like that kind of thing.
God
So I
damn
don't know. Do you get high energy on stage though?
No, you've seen me. I suck.
No, you're very
Oh,
funny.
thank you. I appreciate
You're
it.
very. I mean, I just haven't seen you like. I've seen you at open mics
Yeah,
when you're
true.
like trying jokes, so I
Yeah,
can totally
yeah.
see
You're
if you're
right,
just in like a, I'll just say the jokes thing. But you know, I have been trying to use energy more, but it's funny because like obviously I'll like use anger a little bit. So it's
Okay.
like the energy's a little intense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to be Lewis Black, but that was the first comedian I thought was funny, and that's obviously still there.
Okay.
But I'm like doing that at like 1 a.m. to
Right.
crowds that are like tired.
Right.
And it's either they're like, oh cool, this guy is like excited.
Yeah.
He's like ready to do this. Or they're like, why is he so mad?
Right.
And I'm like, well, I've been watching videos since.
I just got off with the Chicago professor on realism. I'm a bit annoyed at the moment.
Yeah, pretty much. It's really bad for a guy like me to be watching all these videos because like I'm not smart. So it's like it's not
Right.
really good to get into stuff that like truly I can't even use besides bringing it up on,
Okay.
raccoon titties and stuff.
Well, you're probably getting smarter by watching it. But with the so now you're trying to be more high energy. Do you feel like you are low energy on stage? Because that's not something I really picked up on. Other people always tell me I'm low energy, but I didn't really think about that with you.
I think sometimes I can definitely have like a monotone way of talking.
Okay.
And I think like, sometimes I'll just sort of speak where it's like you're hearing every word, it's all enunciate. Like I'm really not trying to rush through things a lot. But I don't know. I guess what I've noticed is like sometimes if my bits are like negative, it's about like wanting to kill myself or something. It's like I have to smile and like let them know that I feel fine about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that I'm just kidding. So it's been like that. And then also like trying to not like using anger, but also kind of like intensity to just be like, well, I really care about this.
Right.
So if you guys at 1 a.m. want to tune in, there's a guy that's like really into this at the
That
moment.
makes sense. Yeah.
But sometimes it's a lot for people. It's really, I mean, I have stopped punching old men on stage, but I haven't stopped, saying wild shit.
Right.
That's
you say
still
some
there.
crazy stuff.
You
Would
know.
you ever hump the stool?
Do you think you could hump the stool in a way that like the crowd wouldn't think of it as hacky? Do you think
Yeah.
you could do it where you could like, cause like, like sometimes like Louis will do a bit where the premise is you're almost like, how have we not thought of that? You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like that
Yeah.
seems so in your face, but he's doing it and it doesn't seem hacky and I like it.
How about you treat the stool like the old man?
Truly?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Because maybe, if I'm doing a long bit about a sad moment in my life, I punch the stool to show how I punched it.
And then you fuck him.
Yeah, and then when the stool's on the ground, then I fuck the stool.
Yeah.
And the crowd goes, I don't think he really fucked that old guy. But then they don't know. You know what I mean?
How about would you ever ask an audience member for their cell phone?
Oh, like if they got a call or something?
Yeah, you know how people go like, "Hey, let me see your phone." Now, who's Shelly?
I kind of put that in the mode of like a comic with nothing to say.
Okay.
That's like really excited something's finally happening.
Yeah.
But I also think like funny comics can still do that. I guess I don't know. I just feel like once you get on the phone with somebody, then it's just like, well, what if this person sucks? And now
Yeah.
I've spent all this time getting on the phone. Because sometimes you do crowd work with the person right in front of your face, and it's like not that exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't do it a lot. But
I
I mean
do
like I think me and you, Gerardo, I don't think we're hacks. I think we're creative people. So
like to
if we
think
were
so.
to do hack stuff like that, maybe we could do it better. Like maybe, and this is something I just thought of now, but the person's on the phone, they say hello, and you go, "Hey, you're a bitch," and then you hang up.
And then you,
And then
hang
you ask
right
for
up.
another phone.
Yeah.
And then you just keep doing that
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like, what do you think? Gerard, have you ever done any crowd work?
I never ask. I don't like talking to the crowd ever. I like just doing my shit. I suck at talking to the crowd.
You know,
How does it go for you?
you know what I like the most is when I don't really like crowd work, but I do like when somebody pipes up and says something and then derails it for as much as I've talked about how much I don't like it.
Sure.
I like when they've chosen to speak and then I go, okay, well, I'll talk to you now.
Yeah.
Like one time I was like telling a joke where I think I just started, I said, I am bisexual. And the lady said, what? That I love
Yeah.
because those people don't want to talk to you again is very funny. Is they've like interrupted the show, but then I was like, what do you mean what? And then I
Yeah.
was like, it's gay sex. And then you have
Yeah.
fun with them and then you
Right.
can kind of say anything. I like that. I like when it's like, oh, well, you want to talk? All right, well, then let's talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not in like, I'm going to destroy you kind of, but you know what I mean? Like, let's have a chat. But I don't know. Sometimes, like the other night, I was doing a joke about watching urban exploration videos. And oftentimes I'll ask the crowd, has anyone heard of this?
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody has, it's usually a man who's like alone or with one friend. And like the 6 times I've done it, 5 times I've asked the guy, like, is your life going well? They say no. And then that's kind of funny. I say like, or do you have a job?
Right.
Last night I asked a guy, I was like, do you have a job? And he goes, yeah, actually I'm a door knocker. And then before I could even ask what it meant, he's like, so pretty much I can offer Edison Solar clients 10% off their
fuck.
and he got like really excited.
Yeah.
And then like the only thing I had to do to get a laugh was just visually sound like nauseated. You know, like I looked nauseated by that guy. And then the whole crowd laughed. And then, you know, you riff on it a little, but sometimes you do crowd work and you're like, that was funny, but it's also just like, what happened? Like that guy just like explained his job. He's like
Yeah.
somehow found a way to be excited about it.
Yeah.
And I like think it's awful.
You found some scam artist who's like essentially like a Cutco Herbalife bullshit guy.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But I definitely don't like the crowd work. I mean, you guys know the issue with crowd work now is like the fake, like nothing's that interesting.
Yeah.
And good crowd work is being able to be bored in an entertaining way. Sometimes, like not all the time, but like Todd Barry's great
Yeah.
because like you watch his crowd work and it's like somebody can say something to him that's like really, there's just nothing there.
Yeah.
And he'll just like sit in it and then get a laugh from the silence and then say like one thing just about how that makes him bored and it's like perfect. But like, yeah, sometimes you're just, I don't know, like you see a lot of clips now where like people are fucking hosting a show doing crowd work, which they don't know is a terrible thing to do. It's
Right.
telling the crowd to be
That's what the
annoying
show's gonna
and
be
talk.
like, yeah.
And then they always go up and they're like, how long you been dating? And if it's anything over 4 years, they say, oh, you should be married. And then the crowd agrees, even though none of the crowd agrees. They're all
Yeah.
they're at a don't tell comedy show. They're like unmarried fucking 35-year-olds with nothing to do. They don't think that person should
Gadoosh.
they,
Yeah.
you know, I'm
Yeah.
slamming everybody.
No.
So, you know, so they don't think, but yeah.
What is an urban exploration video?
You might have seen, it's the guys that go into abandoned buildings, houses, factories, and sometimes they go at night, so it's very spooky, and they just look around abandoned factories. And sometimes it's like fun for them, I guess, because they're like, whoa, we're in this old mall, and this Chipotle left all their bowls. You know, it's like a lot of
That
like
is interesting.
they find like stock that's left.
Yeah.
But the joke that I have is just that like literally any video watch, they just find a homeless guy.
Oh shit.
It's all the videos they watch, they find a homeless guy. And I
Yeah.
find it very confusing that people do it because like they know there is a homeless guy in there. And like I don't know if I'm the only one watching it for this reason, but it's fascinating. You see a guy walk into an abandoned building, he hears what can only be a man living in the building, and then he goes, "Whoa, I think there's somebody in here." And then he stays in the building and he walks around, and then there's a guy that does urban exploration who is like legally blind, or like he's like really hard of seeing.
Sure.
But like he like needs his headlamp and he like sees like through his camera. And he's walking through this building, and then there's like a homeless guy that like pops out of nowhere, and he's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Because obviously, if you live in an abandoned building, anybody coming up to you, 80% is trying to take something from you. You know what I mean? Like nobody's coming in and being like, "Hey," you know?
Yeah.
And they don't know that people do this either. So I think oftentimes they just think they're cops because they're guys walking around with flashlights going, "Is anybody in here?" It's like they're just doing. It's just. You know, there's a lot of white guys like pretending to be cops in different ways around the world.
Right.
You know, and this is one form.
Yeah.
And this blind guy runs into a homeless guy. The homeless guy screams at him. It's obviously not good for him to be in there. He's bothering this homeless guy, which whether or not he can be in there, it's like this is still his space more than it is yours. He's sleeping here tonight. But then he doesn't leave. He yells at him, and then he just like goes up into the building, and then it's just like, "Oh God." And he's like, "I'm just exploring." And it's like the man is on crack. Like he stop saying you're exploring.
He's like, "Don't mind me. I know you're sleeping, but I got this video on YouTube. That probably sounds like gibberish to the homeless guy."
Yes, true.
I wonder if they know what YouTube is.
They know it. They got, you know,
Probably
a lot of them got phone. They might be watching YouTube, you know, because sometimes they're like guys just sleeping on like a concrete floor, and sometimes it's people who have like made a bit of a home in a hotel. To the point that it's like, I saw this one couple, they go through a hotel. It's obviously lived in by squatters. There's signs on the door that say, "I live here, don't come in."
Yeah.
There's obviously a schizophrenic man living in there. He's been writing on the walls, and he's like doing the thing where I love that like anybody who's crazy just immediately want to draw on a wall and circle a word and then draw a line to another word. That is just like, it was good schizophrenia too, because it was like he would take a word, he'd be like, a Trisket, Trident, and just like different T words. And I'm like, it's very funny when people are crazy and they think they're doing a conspiracy, but they're like also just, they don't have a lot of information in their head. So he's just kind of doing word stuff.
It'd be funny if you're like a YouTube dude or like you're like a homeless guy and you like those shows and you're watching the video and you're like, "Oh fuck, he's in my house."
Yeah. If
the guy like walks by.
They live stream.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, you could be like, "The boys are coming. They're coming tonight. They've been planning to come to this Dodge plant for 3 years now. They're coming."
Do you watch these videos?
No, but I went to a McDonald's once when I was doing DoorDash. Don't brag, but I do DoorDash. And he was talking to nobody. And nobody was paying attention to him. But he was talking about the fourth dimension. So like when you were talking about conspiracy theories.
Oh, okay.
And whatnot, he was like shouting about the fourth dimension. And everyone was already tuning him out.
Yeah.
But when you first walk into the McDonald's, you think like, "Oh, this guy's getting into it with somebody that works there."
Yeah.
But then you see the counter and nobody's there. And I came back for another order. He was still going, dude.
He was still going.
He was still going.
They couldn't get him out of the McDonald's.
I mean, I don't think they really try anymore to get him out of the McDonald's, because then you sometimes walk into a McDonald's and it smells immediately.
Yeah.
And you look and you see somebody, "Oh yeah, somebody's just in here."
I mean, that's true. It's like we haven't tried to like fix mental health care, and then I guess like shutting down all the mental hospitals. It's literally fallen upon McDonald's and Starbucks to like house the mentally ill. Like it's truly, I think it's just McDonald's and Starbucks and then outside.
And they're not even allowed to kick them out anymore. Right?
Yeah.
They have to like let them use the bathroom and stuff.
There's this other thing at the same McDonald's in, let's just say Seattle, right? It's in where I live.
Sure.
And I had to use the restroom once, so I asked the lady, I was like, "Can I use your restroom?" And she's like, "Sure." She pushes the button to unlock the door, and it causes this high frequency buzz in the restroom. The whole restroom is filled with, like, it's giving me a headache. It's like a crazy loud but high frequency, so like noise.
Fuck.
And it made me piss as fast as possible to get out of there.
Yeah.
And I feel like they have that in place because it's a lot of homeless people that live in that area.
100%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, they can buzz to get them. That's like a deterrent.
Yeah. I mean, if you leave it up to businesses, you're just going to get like the most like inhumane, wild ways of like, we're going to do high pitched noises. Like we're going to treat them like a dog. Like, we're going to dog whistle them out of the bathroom pretty much. You go to any 7-Eleven, they're like just blasting Mozart now because I guess homeless guys
don't like classical.
Biggest enemy is like
it did feel like
music.
some sort of like bank, like if I broke the safe at a bank, and that noise started, it felt it was like injuring my body. It was
Yeah.
a crazy noise to hear.
It's weird to have a bathroom that tells you you're wrong to be inside of it.
Yeah,
It's
you
like,
gotta get out.
don't be in this bathroom, you fucking asshole. You piece of fucking shit.
Yeah.
Well, I'll admit, I mean, I did do something it's like not that, but the place I worked, I was in my office and this guy, one of my staff came in and he was kind of smiling, he's like, I don't really know how to say this. He's laughing a little bit. He's like, but there's like an unhoused guy. He's outside. He's naked and he's using our water spit. He has his own hose. He's spraying himself down. So he's like showering out in front of our business. So I had to go outside and be like, hey, man. And as soon as I said, he started walking away. But he literally had his own hose and he hooked it up to our thing. So after that, I like looked online. I was like, what to do when homeless man uses and so I bought a lock for our water spigot.
Yeah.
I locked it up.
Yeah.
It's my way of my noise,
yeah.
Can't use it. Sorry. Just can't have people naked out in front.
No, it is. It's bad. Homeless people are always bad for business.
Yeah.
And then you got to have a lock on a water spigot. And you're like,
Yeah.
this sucks because I don't hate these guys.
No.
And this guy does need to shower, but outside
Yeah.
of a law office,
Yeah.
it is tough.
But then you
Hopefully,
start
yeah.
thinking like the overhead on clothes. It's like I wish that I could walk around naked. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't. That would be what X amount of money per year that I don't have to
Right.
spend on some fresh fits and shit.
You're a
you know?
problem solver. You're like,
Yeah.
just get rid of clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clothes is something I like. I like spending the money on clothes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Me
I
too,
like when
actually.
I'm walking down the
Yeah.
street and nobody can see my entire body.
Yeah.
Hawk noise. Spending money on clothes for a hawk move.
Spending money on clothes is a hawk move.
I think being naked is a hawk move because nobody's doing it. You know what I mean?
Can you play
Yeah.
a duck noise?
No,
Quack,
that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, that's a duck right there.
quack,
That's
duck.
definitely a duck.
Nobody wants to see you naked.
No, when it comes to clothes, it's like I pay them because that's the price of the clothes. I don't
Yeah.
like talking to fucking. You ever talk to people that are like, why would you pay that much for a shirt? It's like that's how
Losers.
much the fucking
Duck
shirt
noise.
costs. You know what I mean? That's how much Brunello Cucinelli wanted this shirt to be. And if it's a $975 shirt, then it's a $975 shirt. I
Okay,
gotta pay
dude.
that price to look like a cowboy. It is what it is.
Yes.
There's no justification to any fashion price other than that is the price.
Yeah.
But that's same thing with milk. It's all fake prices, you know what I mean?
Well, I'll say I'm not here to be right, but I like being naked, dude. I don't want to be naked in public.
Are you a when you're home alone naked the whole time guy?
No, not the whole time. Hell no. No.
Well, then I don't think you really like it.
I do like being naked though.
In your apartment, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't be naked all
I
the
don't
time
like that.
though.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I rarely walk around naked, even in here.
Do you ever hear some people say that though, where they're like, "Yeah, if I'm like home alone, I'm just fully naked the whole time." They act like it's like the height of relaxation. I'm like,
No.
it feels odd to walk around. Everything your skin is touching everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can be like, what are you going to sit on your couch? Like naked?
Yeah, no, I'm not. But
Fuck all
you know,
that.
I'm not
I
naked.
don't understand that.
Well, yeah, right? It doesn't make sense. Your dick's on your couch, your butt's on your couch.
I think because the amount that I am not naked, I enjoy being naked when I am. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so you'd
Right?
hate it if you had no clothes. The clothes are what makes the nakedness fun. There is no nakedness
I mean,
without
I don't want to be
clothes.
the guy with the spigot and standing out and being the only naked guy. But
Right.
if everyone's naked, it's like let's see them dicks.
You
know
ever
what I
go
mean?
to a nudist place?
No, but when I was a younger fellow, I think when I was a minor, I think I drove to one because I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to there's a hot springs. It's like gorgeous called Little Deep Creek. And you hike like 40 minutes and then you kind of descend into this really tiny valley that like all this, it turns from a desert to like there's all this green and it's like these warm hot springs. And then there's these pools that are pretty warm you can swim in. And you're allowed to be nude there. And it sucks because I was like, all right, like you never get to be nude in nature. Like
Sure.
this will be cool. And then I went and, it was fun, but it was just like a bunch of Mexican dudes in athletic shorts chilling out, listening to like E40. And I was like, yeah, I don't really think I want to like take my dick out. You know what I mean? Like everybody's like you know what I mean? Because it's like the vibe is that we're allowed to be naked, but if nobody's naked,
Yeah.
then you're the naked guy.
That sucks.
And
yeah.
it does kind of piss me off because I feel like in a nudist place, it's like I don't know. I almost don't like clothing optional. I think it should be nude mandatory. If it's
Oh.
naked, you should almost have to be nude.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna go to a place where it's like, hey, we're all gonna make an agreement that we're all just gonna be people and be naked in nature, because who gets to do this? And then you go and you're like, I mean, I'm listening to like rap.
Yeah.
I don't wanna
E40 is
take
pretty
my-
random, yeah.
I don't want to take my dick out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, not to sound like I love E40.
Yeah.
But soft penis in nature is not like E40 time. It's
Yeah.
like,
No,
I should
no.
probably listen to the
Yeah.
water.
No.
You know what I mean?
I want to dress up nicer if I'm listening to E40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to be doing something. I'd like to be big stepping.
Yeah.
Like not just in nature. I don't understand like
Nope. Yeah. Like that Nope song. That's what you did when you saw the guys at that place. You're like, nope.
Yeah, I pretty much went, nope.
They show their dicks and you're like, yep.
Yeah, then I was back in.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh shit, we live now.
Tell me when to get naked. Tell me when to get naked.
I think it's cool that you did that, man. I don't have the balls. I don't even, some places are mandatory like that. Like my girlfriend was telling me about the Korean spas, like we spa, like they segregate it. So it's women and men are all naked and women are all naked. I have something weird about that. I don't know. I have like a hang up being naked around anybody, men or women, but all men is weird too.
Have you tried Korean men being naked around them?
Not yet. No.
Because maybe the cultural difference, you'd feel safeguarded by that. You know what I
If
mean?
I'm the only white naked guy.
Yeah, if you're like worried about a bunch of like white American guys
Right.
like making fun of you with their context of white American penises, but if you go in there, it's like a Korean guy and a white guy making fun of each other's penises. That's just multiculturalism, if anything. That's
Yeah,
just,
I might honestly. I might if there was. I mean, they're not all gonna be Korean people at those spas, but if it was all, I might be like, yeah, I guess I'm just doing your thing, and
Yeah.
I'd be like, I don't want to disrespect your culture, and then maybe you would feel
I've
more
went. It's
comfortable.
really great. It's fun. It's open 24 hours.
Which ones?
Like We Spa is.
Oh,
yeah.
Damn,
I mean,
24 hours.
yeah. So, and the one in Korea with the Koreatown with the fucking driving range, I think is 24 hours. A lot of them are 24 hours because it's like it's just a culture of like if you get off work, you hit
Yeah.
the sauna and stuff.
That's very cool.
But it is cool because it's like if you go late, like nobody's really there except gay guys maybe. But
Yeah.
like it feels like kind of stepping into like another time where you're following like Greek rules,
Sure.
where it's a very odd thing where you're like, we're a bunch of men like
Right.
in the sauna and then in the hot tub and then in the cold. But there's a lot of different stuff too. There's like a very cold pool to sit in.
Okay, yeah.
And
pools
I
are
think
good.
I think it's important as a man to sit in a very cold pool and then stand up and just show whatever your penis looks like to a whole room.
And I'm fucking weird, dude, for wanting to be naked.
It's a bit Joe Rogan of you too, because you're cold. It's like a cold plunge.
Yeah, it's a bit of a. Koreans have been on cold plunges for way longer. This whole time, I think white dudes might be the last people to discover the cold plunge.
Joe Rogan.
What if it was like you only do the cold thing because you got a small dong and you're like, it's cold water, right?
Right.
It's cold water, right? I just got out of the cold pool. So don't even worry about it. Normally it's real big.
And they're like, you've been in there for 40 minutes. You're supposed to alternate. It's like good for your blood flow is the alternating. You're actually hurting your veins. And you're like, no. You literally have no penis at all. You have a completely smooth crotch and you're like,
That's
it's
so
cold.
fun. That'd be so funny if you saw like you went there with your friend and he had no penis. He doesn't address it at all. He's like, wait a minute, what? Keith, you don't have a dick?
That's funny how haunting that would be because it wouldn't be like, oh man, you got a small dick.
Yeah.
It would just be like, how are you alive?
I went to I went to Wee Spa with Keith Soul. He had no penis.
No penis?
None.
All right, you heard it here first.
I hope that LB hears.
He's got a duck. That's what we call a duck, a man with no penis.
Yeah, man. I mean, maybe I should do that, but you know what I was
It's a
thinking?
lot of quacking, yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't stop.
I know when to cut it off.
You see, you're a pro now. I'm very hairy. I'm like, I say that as in like I'm the most hairy person that I've ever met. So like, have you
That's tough.
seen? Yeah, like have you seen people there that are very hairy?
I mean, once again, it's we're dealing with Korean men. So no, we're seeing the smoothest 6-year-old man you've ever seen.
See, that would make me jealous.
I think you might make them jealous though.
They want to be hairy in that culture.
I'm just saying they might see you and be like, whoa, like
Right.
that guy's kind of like a bear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think there's like an innate, I think there is a thing, times that I've seen, do you have like shoulder hair?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. And you got like the back shoulder blade hair?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
anything. Do you have insert hair?
Yeah.
It's the answer is yes, except for the top of head.
When my thought when I see a guy that's that hairy at the beach or something is like you respect him for still being like more animal than some other people.
Okay, I
So
like that.
I see that and I'm like, I don't necessarily want that, but I think it's cool that there are guys walking around like almost fully covered in hair.
You're the best guest we've ever had.
Yeah, I think it's fun.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
I think whatever you have, you have no choice but to wear it with pride. And
Okay.
if anything,
I like that less, but keep going.
You know, We Spa. Sorry, it did. I didn't want that to sound.
no, you're good.
You know when
Honesty
you
is
want to be
good.
funny and then it sounds inspiring, but We Spa is good because I don't know. I like an experience that maybe doesn't have to be good. You know what I mean? It's nice to walk in there and be like, maybe I'll just walk out and feel weird.
Yeah.
Maybe this won't be relaxing. Maybe I'll just be like, I don't know. But the whole thing, you know, it is nice, the routine. You walk in, you have to shower before you touch anything.
Yeah.
There's showers immediately, you know. And that's a good way to be naked kind of privately, though, because there's like stalls, but there's no doors on the stalls. So you're like, okay, introduction. And then you get into it. And there's just one. And the good thing about it is there's one guy with a hog that is just like, I swear to, every time you go in there, there's one dude that's like walking around with an absolute hammer.
Right.
So every other penis is irrelevant. Like there's one guy with like a porn, like 9-inch penis. And so everybody else is just like, well, like even the other guys with big dicks are just normal guys.
Right.
I think it's kind of important, like, you know, in terms of geopolitics, like sometimes in a unipolar world with like the United States from like, you know, end of Soviet Union to like, you know, 2017 or so, it's like with the rise of China or whatever, being a unipolar world is like, you know, there's sort of less conflict because you can't really fight. You know, they're the greatest power. So in that situation, when you have a guy that's just hanging hog like that, all the other states in the union are going to be, you know, fairly nice to each other because it's like, well, that, you know, that's the big issue right here.
When
Until one of
everyone has
them
the
goes
same
over there and
size,
hawk two and spits on that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that would be crazy if you're a We Spa, old Korean man, everybody's chilling, and then one guy comes over and just starts sucking a guy's cock. That would be so. I wonder how much you could clear it out if you started openly just throating a man.
It'd be funny if you were like, this is part of their culture. You don't know.
This is part of their.
You don't know anything. You leave thinking that.
It's a black dude and a white dude, and I'm still like, this is Korean culture.
Yeah, they're not. This is not a gay thing. Okay?
Yeah.
Or a sex thing, really.
I mean, sometimes you go in there and like, you know, you'll be in the sauna, and if you don't have a towel on, you might just have a guy just stare at your cock for 10 minutes.
Whoa.
And you know, I don't know how the thought would be as a fully straight guy, but I still think there's a nice little pick me up to just be like, hey,
compliment, I guess.
Hey, somebody's knocking at the door. You know what I mean? Like I'm walking around soft, and a guy's like into it. You know?
Sure.
That could give you confidence to maybe ask that lady on a date to be like, well, the gay guy at We Spa, he couldn't get enough of it. I mean, he just stood there staring at my unmoving penis.
Yeah, it's like, you're not into it, but he is. What are you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
Should
guy's
be into
doing
it.
everything right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should get rid of the two big red chairs and have a spa in here.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, dude.
I like
That would be
a
so
hot tub in here, dude.
Maybe that's where Joe Rogan's headed. You know what I mean? Of eventually having a podcast that is 120 degrees.
Yeah, sauna or a cold plunge. I mean, the cold plunge thing has already been done. I think Theo's done that.
I think it's a sauna, but inside the sauna you have two cold plunges. So your head is like about to explode.
They are like that though. They would have something like that. They have like echo chambers or whatever that they go in, and cold plunges and all that. You know what makes me laugh about what we're talking about is on our show, our audience, they talk a lot about both of our appearance. And Alan Strickland Williams, that was on the last pod, he kind of got lit up a little bit, Gadoosh, for his appearance. And now we're talking about the spa and our dicks and all that. They're going to probably talk about you and the way you look.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, the eyebrows will be brought up. That's about every comment.
Okay.
I'm also not a liked podcast guest.
Really?
I could have mentioned that before.
How so? Like, who else?
I'd say it's gotten better. I mean, the last podcast I was on was William Montgomery's and Casey Rockets. And surprisingly, there were some nice comments.
Oh, nice.
But a lot of times I do get a lot of people going, who is this guest? Or they go, stop having these, who are these unknown guests? Who is this guy? What's his deal? And people are very unhappy about it.
People say that I have small teeth and big gums.
Can you smile?
I was not smiling. I was just showing my teeth.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got some
Small.
gums.
Big gums, right? So are you big gums or small teeth or both? I'm saying, all right, what do you think about me?
You're like right on. You're before the line of weird for sure.
Okay, there we go.
That's a passable mouth. Like you got more gum than the average guy, but
honesty.
you know, there's some people that like they kind of have a predator mouth. When they open up, it's like their mouth opens up, but then there's a whole other mouth in there like you see that jaw really come out, and you see a lot of gum. And sometimes I do see those people, and as a guy that's not that attractive myself, I do see those people, and I go, how do you live like this?
Is that Alien or Predator? Because like, isn't Alien where the mouth comes out?
It was Alien.
Yeah. I've always thought about that people kind of do sometimes look like that alien mouth, and that is
Not the big mouth, the small mouth, the one that comes out.
yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
much, like-
It'd be hard
like-
to be like that.
If a person has like really buck teeth and a lot of gums, then they will have they'll have the alien mouth.
I
inside of
mean,
them.
I pray every day that fucking Cooney grows some buck teeth. At least he'll have something, you know what I mean?
Well, they're not going to grow anymore.
Yeah.
I'd have to get fake teeth like Rife. I have to, you know what? Do you know what? I've told Gerardo this already. I think he already knew. But do you know what they do to give you those fake teeth? Do you know the process?
Do they sand down all of your teeth? Yeah.
Isn't that the most horrifying thing you've ever heard in your life?
Yeah. If you see some of those guys, if you see a guy with grills without his grills in, it's all a bunch of magnets around his entire. Like they kind of replace the teeth with just magnets.
That is so scary.
So
to
you
me.
clip it in. I've never understood the give up teeth fully to have only gold teeth.
No. Yeah, that's crazy.
It doesn't make any, because you also have a constant lisp, and like it's also just, I don't know. It's like, how do you eat Arby's if you have gold teeth in? You know what I mean? It's like, how do you
eat anything? I guess you put like, do you take the gold teeth out?
No,
when
I'm
you
saying
eat?
some people get permanent.
Yeah, you can't take them out. So like you're just chomping. I wonder what that feels like.
But also, I don't know, like Young Thug did the thing where he got like grills. He didn't get his teeth taken out, but he got grills that were pretty much in all the time. So they never came off for like years.
Yeah.
And then he took his grills out and he has like the whitest teeth of anyone you've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
Maybe he got a cleaning before, but also
Yeah,
these
yeah.
were just like untouched pearly whites. And then he just started flexing regular teeth, which is honestly the move. I think you have a grill for a little while and then you take it out and you're like, but really the greatest flex is good dental hygiene and taking care of your teeth.
So if you don't, like if you have it in there permanently, do you still brush your teeth?
Yeah, okay, so if you can't take them out,
Yeah.
but they're permanent, you have to do something, I think. I think you brush it without toothpaste. I think
That's
you like
fucking crazy.
have to just get stuff out of it.
Right.
But like with grills, I know people have to like sometimes put them in like a solution and stuff. So,
Well, this is something we only need to worry about when we get very successful.
yeah, I would love to do that, to like not change anything about myself. But then like if I had a successful comedy career, one day show up with like very iced out teeth.
Yeah.
Dress the same, act the same, have a full grill and be like, I struggle with suicidality.
So you said that
And open up the doors, you know?
it's still, no matter what success you get, there's still going to be always a question, should I be here? Mm-hmm. Right?
The best was one time at the Comedy Store, a really famous comic just came out and said, "Do you ever do this and you just feel like I shouldn't be up here and this was a terrible idea?" And that was very comforting to me because I'm like, oh well, that's nice. That like if
Yeah, like even a big comic. has
yeah,
it,
it's like oh, it's actually kind of nice to know that some things don't go away.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's scary to think it's scarier if you think you'll get to a point where you'll just feel okay all the time, because like that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, maybe the people that do that are the weirdos, like, that eventually end up getting canceled because they're kind of crazy to begin with.
Yeah, I think a lot of comics is like, well, some people just go up, I've noticed, with like absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And then so like if they get a couple chuckles, they'll be like, that was good. Because in their mind, they're like, that came out of nowhere. And then it's like, but then if you go up with material and you get a couple chuckles, you're like, no, that was obviously a bomb.
Right.
But it's weird how two people can kind of have the same set. But if one went into it not at all trying, then they're like, no, that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, I know that well, that game.
Yeah, I freaked out at Chatterbox.
Oh, yeah? Recently?
Yeah, it was very bad. It was a bad showing for me.
Sounds like a good story to me.
I was telling my urban exploration joke, and you wouldn't believe it. It did not fully connect with the crowd. And then I was right after Steve, and I love Steve, but I sold him out in my anger.
Oh, yeah, got to.
Because Steve was talking about movies, and after I bombed, I was like, "What do you want me to just fucking describe a movie to you?" and then I called everybody F words who only do one mic a week and got off stage. The good part was
Hawk move.
it was a hawk move. But the good part was everybody there knows me and just sort of laughed at me in my anger, which I feel grateful for. Like when I have an outburst that I don't like and I say mean things to people who have been nothing but nice to me, because everybody at Chatterbox is like some of the nicest people you ever meet. Like, when you headline that place, they act like you're fucking doing the Grand Old Opry. You know what I mean? They're like,
That's
oh,
great.
thank.
Yeah.
So I said that, and then I was glad to see that they kind of laughed at me. So I was like, okay, good.
Yeah. Well, they know when people know you, you can have these freakouts. And to you feel like, oh my God, I'll never be able to come here again.
Yeah.
The name Cooper Lyden is dead
Right.
here. But they know that you're kidding or whatever.
Yeah, it's sometimes you resent that people kind of have you already in a category, but
Sure.
as a person with insane anger issues, sometimes it's not the worst thing for people to go, well, he's
Yeah.
done it before,
Comedy is a knife fight. You use anything you can. That's not my line. Someone told me that.
Right.
Probably Alan. But it's like you would
Is that Alan's perspective on
I think
comedy?
that's what I think Alan said.
when he
that, yeah.
goes up in a suit and tells one-liners, it's a fucking knife fight.
Well, that's good. A good douche. But
I think he's very funny, but yeah.
the way I take it is like it's like you use anything. So like example would be Steve told a movie, so you're just like, what do you want me to tell fucking movies? Because you
Yeah.
think maybe you get a laugh out of that. I've done it so many times. I remember I bombed on his show, Easy Mo, but before it, I was talking to Miguel, and I was like, what if I go out there and say, I forget what I said, but something that was ridiculous about our friend Miguel. I was like, are you cool with me saying that, Miguel? And he was like, absolutely not. Don't say that. It's the first thing I said.
Yeah.
You know, like you just use what you know will get laughs.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you're throwing under the bus.
Yeah.
The most important thing is that people laugh. Who gives a fuck what else happens?
Yeah, that's always been my perspective. I'm always very confused when comics are like, "What was that?" And I'm like, "The thing."
The best thing you've ever seen. And then you can say the word.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I go. "Well, what do you mean? I went up there and I lied. I lied, or I said truths that you didn't
Yeah.
want to be told,
Sure.
and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're at an open mic. Nobody will ever hear our words. Don't worry."
Exactly.
It's also it is funny when people are like worried about their perception at open mics, because apparently you can punch an old man in the face and like nothing changes.
If you take nothing else away from this show, that's really that you can punch an old guy.
Yeah.
And still, the perception of you stays pretty high. I mean, we both perceive you pretty high, and you're a paid regular, a funny guy.
You can come back from anything. You can punch a 69-year-old man and end up on the Raccoon Titties podcast 5 years later,
Damn right.
something like that.
I will definitely have you on again.
Thank you so much for having me.
See you next week.